Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Laura Meihofer, and I'm here to discuss with you what do we all have but no one talks about. I want you to think about what I just said. What does every individual in this room have on their person, regardless of gender identity, sex assigned at birth, race, or ethnicity? The answer to this riddle is the pelvic floor. Now, when I say pelvic floor, I usually get two responses. One response is, well, I don't have a vulva, vaginal canal, or uterus, so it doesn't apply to me. I don't need to think about it. The second response, and the one that is most common, and I can see in some of you right now, is a blank stare. Because you legitimately have no idea what I'm talking about. Let me educate you on what we all have, okay? The pelvic floor is a group of 26 muscles. These muscles attach behind the front of our pubic bone, and they run like a sling or a hammock and attach into our sacrum and tailbone. That's the bottom part of our spine. These 26 muscles have 5 major functions that they help with. The first is circulation. They help to circulate blood and lymph through our body. The second is structure. They help to provide structure to our spine and our hips by working in conjunction with our tummy muscles, back muscles, diaphragm, and hip muscles. The third is bowel and bladder continence. The fourth is support of our pelvic organs, holding them up and inside of our body. And the fifth is sexual appreciation. These 5 functions are accomplished by the pelvic floor through 4 motions: voluntary contraction, voluntary relaxation, involuntary contraction, and involuntary relaxation. Now, I hope you did not think you were just going to come listen to me talk today and just sit back and not do anything. No. You all are going to participate. So I invite you to take your pelvic floors through these 4 functions or motions. Everyone sitting nice and tall for me. Yes, I love hearing the shuffle. Good. Finding even space through your ischial tuberosities or sits bones. I want you to focus on the space that is right in front of your rectum and right behind your vaginal opening or testicles. This is known as the perineal space. This is what you're going to feel move as I talk you through these, okay? Focusing on this space, I want you to tighten as if you are stopping the flow of urine or trying not to pass gas. And relax. You should have felt that area squeeze and lift away from the chair. This is known as voluntary contraction. You were shortening those muscles and lifting them up of your own control. Now, I want you to go ahead and bear down, like you're pushing out, straining, or trying not to pass gas. Truly, please don't pass gas during this talk. Good. You should have felt your pelvic floor move down towards the chair. This is known as voluntary relaxation. You are lengthening those muscles. Now I want everyone to give me a nice big cough. Excellent. Oh, love your participation. You should have felt your pelvic floor muscles lift and move up towards your head. This is known as involuntary contraction. It is a reflex that just occurred. Your pelvic floor tightens right before you cough, sneeze, or laugh. Lastly, I want you to take a nice, big, relaxing breath in, feeling your ribs and abdomen expand. Good. And exhale. With your inhale, you should have felt that perineal space move down towards the chair. This is known as involuntary relaxation. The pelvic floor is just coming along for the ride as the diaphragm depresses with inhale. Now, If you are someone who did not feel your pelvic floor move at all, or maybe it moved in the opposite directions than what I described, don't worry, I'm going to talk about you in a little bit. But what I want you to think about is that every day, all day, your pelvic floor is moving through a continuum of voluntary contractions and relaxations and involuntary contractions and relaxations to accomplish those 5 very important functions. Now, I started this talk a little bit backwards by very briefly introducing myself and then just diving right into the topic. So let me back up a little bit. I am a doctor, but not in the traditional MD sense. I am a doctor of physical therapy. This means I have spent the last 10 years of my career studying and treating the pelvic floor. I treat individuals with pelvic floor dysfunction. Pelvic floor dysfunction is an umbrella term that captures many symptoms and conditions. Individuals with pelvic floor dysfunction will have tight, tender, weak, inflexible, and poorly coordinated muscles. Basically, that means individuals with this problem will have difficulty contracting, relaxing, and communicating with the rest of the system. So the folks in this room who maybe didn't feel your perineal body move as it should, this is going to be for you. So let me give you some examples of what is pelvic floor dysfunction, because people can have problems in any of those 5 areas of pelvic floor function. You can have urinary incontinence with coughing, sneezing, laughing, difficulty starting the flow of urine, straining, thinking you're fully emptied, standing up, leaking a little bit, leaving the bathroom to think, I'm done, only to return 5 minutes later because you still have to go. Constipation, which can be hard, lumpy, formed stool, 3 or few bowel movements per week. Fecal incontinence, incontinence of gas. You can have back, hip, or abdominal pain that does not resolve with normal stretching, strengthening, and manual techniques that you might receive in physical therapy. You can have pressure, heaviness, a sense of something falling out through the vagina or the rectum. You can have pain with intercourse, erectile dysfunction. You can have pain or difficulty with arousal or orgasm. Sounds fun, huh? So these are just some of the examples of things that people with pelvic floor dysfunction will report. And the sad thing is that most of these individuals will be misdiagnosed or mistreated by their medical providers. And I really believe that that is in part because people do not know what is the pelvic floor, where is it located, and what can go wrong with this area of our body. So they can't advocate for themselves or self-screen. As a result, they are subjected to unnecessary tests, examinations, procedures, surgical interventions, medication management. It's sad, it's heartbreaking. Now, I'm sure some of you in here are thinking, Laura, I know how to fix this. You just need to do some Kegels. I heard about that in Cosmo. My doctor told me to do that. Well, here is the thing. If you've never heard about Kegels, let me explain where they came from. Dr. Kegel is a gynecologist, old dude, okay? Been there a while ago. He came up with a device that measures the squeeze pressures of the pelvic floor. So he prescribed to individuals doing tightening, contracting of those pelvic floor muscles, now what we call Kegels, to treat pelvic floor weakness, laxity, and incontinence. But as all of you smart audience members know, the pelvic floor has to move both voluntarily and involuntarily with both lifting and contracting and relaxing. Here's the other thing that's interesting about the pelvic floor, is that it actually has two different types of muscle fibers in it. The pelvic floor has both slow twitch, about 70% endurance muscle fibers, think marathon runners, and 30% fast twitch muscle fibers, think sprinters. So simply doing some tightening here and there is not going to help. I think you guys know what I'm going to ask you to do next. We're going to participate because I want you to appreciate the beauty of your pelvic floor. So again, sitting up nice and tall for me, even weight through those ischial tuberosities, focusing on that perineal space. I am going to give you some directions of things to do, okay? Try your best. I'm going to be counting out loud. So this first one is we're going to do an endurance contraction. I want you to see how long can you hold this contraction strong and steady. If you start to lose the contraction, you're done. If you hold your breath or tighten any of your butt or hip muscles, you're done, okay? Everyone go ahead and tighten. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. If you were able to hold that contraction for 10 seconds, you have some pretty good endurance muscles. Now, the next one is a little bit more challenging because it requires coordination. I'm going to ask you to tighten, relax, okay? The trick here is you are not allowed to tighten until you get full relaxation, until you get back to your neutral. Not because you shoved your pelvic floor there, just because you were able to let go and then come back up, okay? I'm going to count out loud, see how many contractions you do in 10 seconds. Ready and contract. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And relax. Now, if you got 10 contractions in 10 seconds, you have pretty coordinated muscles. Funny enough, some of you, I saw your eyebrows moving. Your eyebrows are not your pelvic floor, okay? So make sure you know the difference. Here is the catch. 50 to 80% of people will complete these contractions incorrectly when only given verbal explanation alone. So take all of your results with a grain of salt because 50 to 80% of you did it wrong. In all seriousness, 1 out of 5 vulva owners will experience pelvic floor dysfunction in their lifetime. 1/3 of vulva owners and 50% over the age of 55 are currently experiencing at least one area of pelvic floor dysfunction right now. 1 in 8 phallus owners will experience pelvic floor in their lifetime. So I want us to disband this idea that this is a sex assigned at birth, only 50% of the population problem. This is not. This is a human issue. We all have a pelvic floor. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is to have a very honest conversation about the functions of your pelvic floor. When you leave this auditorium today, and as you go through your life, aging, encountering various life events, maybe slipping on the ice, having a baby, a back injury, whatever it is, I want you to sear these 4 questions into your brain so you can ask yourself these time and time again. 1, what is my bowel and bladder function? Am I leaking even just 1 drop? Am I straining? Am I going more frequently, less frequently? 2, do I have any back, hip, or abdominal pain that is not getting better with traditional treatments? 3, do I have any pressure, heaviness, or something falling out through the vagina or rectum? And 4, has my sexual experience changed? Is it harder to have arousal, orgasm? Am I having pain? If any of the answers to any of these questions, even just one of the questions, is yes, or even if you think to yourself, maybe, I want you to immediately get yourself to a pelvic floor physical therapist. Of course, I still want you to tell your primary care provider because it is important that they know this is going on, but if they tell you to do a Kegel, take some medication, do a surgery, or tell you, you know what, this is normal, it's not. Please, show them this TED Talk. In all seriousness, I am here today because my mom taught me how to be my own health advocate. At a very young age, she told me and encouraged me to look at my vulva. She told me, Laura, if you do not know what normal looks like, no one will, and you will not be able to communicate problems to your medical team. Additionally, I was so lucky to be surrounded by individuals who talked openly, honestly, and without shame about this part of our body so we could know what the heck was going on with it. Now today, as a doctor of physical therapy, I sit with individuals day in and day out who are just struggling. And they just say, how come no one told me about you earlier? How did I not know about you? And I truly believe if one person, a friend, a medical provider, heck, even a stranger who heard their weird peeing in the bathroom would have said, hey, I think you need pelvic floor physical therapy. I think their lives, I know their lives, would be exponentially better. So what I want you to take away today is that the pelvic floor is something we all have, and it is not shameful. The pelvic floor is quite the opposite. It is powerful, it is beautiful, and it is necessary. So please, if you see something, say something. From one friend to another. Thank you, besties.